Morning and welcome to everyone to our June 17th Sports Authority meeting. I want to thank the Predators for that wonderful welcome this morning. It was very exciting and a great way to get back in the building, so thank you so much.
Thank you.
It is great to see everyone in person after a long year, a long, hard year, I might add. Last month, a number of us did come together for a tour of the soccer stadium, which was really great. But this is our first in-person meeting since the pandemic. So thanks to each of you for being here. I also want to thank Metro ITS and Metro Nashville Network for all of their support over the past year as our meetings were live streamed. We appreciate all you do to keep the public informed. And I must say that the Sports Authority virtually, we did a pretty good job. I think we were on point most of the time, and it was not where we wanted to be, but it was a good experience. So thanks to everyone who contributed. At this time, we will have consideration of the minutes from the April 15th, 2021 meeting. And on Friday, you should have received the SharePoint, which included the minutes from the April meeting. Hope you've had an opportunity to review those.
Madam Chair, I move for approval.
Okay.
Second.
It's been moved and approved. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. So at this time, we will have our executive director's report from Monica Faulkner.
Good morning, everyone. It is so great to see you all. Thank you for being here. It just occurred to me that there are a couple board members who need to be introduced because you have probably heard their voices and seen their names during the pandemic in our virtual meetings, but we just wanted to make sure that you know Don Deering and Melvin Gill and Glenn Farner down here. So I think everyone else you probably know, but I wanted to be sure to point them out. Also, our new finance manager, Melissa Wells, on the front row beside Quentin, joined us while we were all virtual too. So just wanted to let you all put a face with a name. Welcome, everybody. As usual, we have a full agenda with board reports from the Personnel, Finance, and Women's Sports Ad Hoc committees. We'll also have the presentation of reports on debt obligations from the refunding of bonds recently issued for Nissan Stadium, Bridgestone Arena, and First Horizon Park. And we'll follow that with reports from the MLS Stadium team and Bridgestone Arena. I think the reports today are going to give you a really good indication of how staff has been spending its time, but I did want to mention one thing, and Doug Scopel is not with us this morning. He's actually on a plane right now, but I did want to share that we've been working with the Sounds to engage a company to perform a roof assessment at First Horizon Park. I think you all know that after the tornado, there was some storm damage, but in looking at that, there was also found to be some non-storm damage. And so, a report, a study or assessment was performed. The report has been received. We're making our way through that now, and I expect we'll be having some conversations with the Sounds in the next few weeks, and then we'll report back to you and kind of share where we are with regards to that. Are there any questions about the agenda or anything else? If not, that ends my report.
Thank you, Monica. Next on the agenda is the Personnel Committee report. And so at this time, I will give a brief Personnel Committee report. The committee met on May 19th for the annual review of our executive director. Present on that committee was Emmett Wynn, Frank Harrison, and Margaret Bem. And we all agreed that we are extremely proud of the performance and the representation of our executive director. We think that Monica does an outstanding job. She goes above and beyond. And she represents us not only where it's required, but she also represents us in those areas of the community where it's personal time. So we thank you for all you do. As a result of that meeting, the discussion was around resetting the salary for the executive director of the Metropolitan Sports Authority. And we want to just ensure that that salary is in line with other comparable executives across the country, and that the responsibility of that role is in line, is compensated for. And as you know, over the past few years, we have definitely seen a lot of change around sporting venues and activities in our community. And with that, the role and responsibilities of this job has really changed. So we took that under consideration. So the Personnel Committee shared its recommendations with the Finance Committee yesterday. And we spent a lot of time justifying the reasons for the increases that we proposed and asked the Finance Committee for their support. And that concludes my report. Any questions or comments? Board? If not, we will move right into our Finance Committee report. So at this time, I'll recognize Finance Chair John Glassmeyer to give his committee report.
Thank you, Kathy. The Finance Committee had a couple of items in front of us yesterday. The first was the presentation of the 2020 Titans seat user fee audit by Ernst & Young. This is something they don't have to do, but we're glad to do it every year. Shannon Myers is here. She's the VP of Finance for the Titans. Shannon, anything you'd like to add to that?
No, just that I'm available for questions if anybody else has questions.
So I wanted to introduce Shannon. Anyone have any questions about that? The other item was the Personnel Committee's recommendation, the consideration of approval adjustments to staffing and compensation for the fiscal year 2022. We did agree to the recommendation, but we would like to split the original motion into two things. We need some little further deliberation. So I believe we have Margaret's going to come to us with a new motion.
Yes. Monica has told us that she would like for us to defer this just because there's still some issues about her increase. So I would like to suggest, as far as her increase, yesterday we had a really great spirited discussion about how much Monica deserves the increase that we proposed and voted on. But she has come back to us and said she would wants to address some issues with us. And so I move that that we move consideration of her raise to a joint committee of finance and personnel so that we can all discuss it. And then also that we take our first look at what we discussed in the personnel committee meeting and how we are going to present our budget next year on all of our staff. So I move that. That's my motion.
Okay. There's a motion.
I second the motion.
Okay, the motion has been made and properly seconded. Any discussion around this new motion? If not, we will take on the deferral and the motion passes. So thank you.
We need to vote.
We need a vote.
Oh, we didn't vote. Okay.
Take a vote.
This is day one on the job. So. Okay, so all of those.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I have a question before
Yes,
we go
okay.
to that vote. This is going to be deferred until a later date, but we don't know what date yet. Is that what you're saying?
What my motion, what I intended to say is that the finance committee and personnel committee chairs will get together and set a date so that we don't set the
For
date.
that special meeting?
Right,
Okay.
right. That's what, good question. That's what I
Right.
intended.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Madam Chair. Yes, question. Would it also include our studying the other employees that work with Monica in there on a very, I'd say they do a very good job, and it's just two of them when we would have probably had three. Would that be included in that investigation, I guess?
What I intended the motion to, that's a good question, is that we start. I know you were at the personnel committee meeting too, Emmett, and we talked about the fact that we needed to get going on just looking at the whole scope of our staff and what they do, how much they're paid. So I suggest that this committee meeting address Monica's compensation, but also start that discussion that you're talking about.
Thank you.
Thank you, Margaret, for clarifying that. Any other questions or comments? If not, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay. And the motion carries. Thank
So
you.
we do have one the final piece of the original motion that we will bring forward to the full board. The committee recommends approval of a 5% salary increase for the finance manager contingent upon council approval of the pay plan adjustment and an additional $15,000 from the arena account to retain Bob Lackey through fiscal year '22. And do you, Monica, would you like to explain the rationale behind this, or I can, either way? Just that.
Yes, I'm happy to do that. And I also would point out that the pay plan was passed, so that is no longer a contingency. But I think all of you know, I'll start with Bob Lackey, that, Bob is longtime Metro Finance Assistant Director. He retired, and then we were fortunate enough to have him to agree to come back and work with us part-time. And so we're so thankful for that. And we honestly, we just need his expertise and his skill. And so the board previously approved $50,000 to bring him back. It has stretched a little farther than we thought. And of that $50,000, we have just over $18,000 left. So the request is for an additional $15,000, which will be enough to fund him for all of FY22, so that he'll be with us for the next year. The second piece is Melissa, our finance manager. I think most of you know that her position is not funded from the general government, but rather from Sports Authority allocations, operational funds through the arena account. And so because of that, where the pay plan now gives Metro employees, up to 5% raise, we need to fund that because Metro's not funding it, because we pay for it. So that's the other request before the board, is the 5% to increase Melissa's salary in a similar fashion to what's being done throughout general government.
So that is our motion, that's our recommendation and our motion from the Finance Committee for these other two folks.
Is there a second? Second. Any discussion? Well,
I would
Yes.
just like to say, and we discussed this too, that Melissa Wells and Bob Lackey are just so vital to what we are doing as a sports authority. I know I rely on both of them greatly, so I'm fully in support of this motion. Thank you for all you do, especially in the past year. It's so difficult. Thank you.
Any other comments, questions? If not, all in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposers, nay. And the motion passes. And I will just concur with Margaret that Melissa and Bob both are wonderful additions to our team, and you are very valuable, and I appreciate this board and authority for approving this motion, so thank you.
And that concludes the Finance Committee's report.
Thank you, Chair Glassmeyer. Next, we have the Women's Sports Ad Hoc Committee report, and Margaret Bam is going to give that report.
I've been excited about this report, so I hope everybody's ready. We had a great meeting the first week of June, and attending the meeting were directors Dan Hogan and Anna Page, and we were joined by Vice Chair Frank Harrison, Secretary Emmett Wynn, and Director Melvin Gill. So thank you all for coming, but also attending were some of our advisory committee members, Council Member Nancy Van Rees, Ian Ayer of the Nashville, CEO of Nashville SC, National Sports Council CEO Scott Ramsey, Doug Scopel, VP of Operations of the Sounds, and Adam News, VP of Operations for the Titans. So everyone participated. It was really a fun, great meeting. But I'd like to start with our RFP. And Monica, I'm going to turn it over to you. There is a document in there that tells the status of things. And there was also a pre-offer meeting, and I don't know if that actually happened. So could you give us an update on our consultant?
So we've been working very closely with Metro Purchasing to get the solicitation for consultants. This is for phase 2 of this initiative, and is focused on community survey and economic impact analysis. And so Zach Kelly was at the meeting. He's the buyer from procurement who is taking the lead on this. And there's a timeline in your in your packets that you'll see. And so on Monday of this week, we had the pre-offer meeting and had a couple of firms there, and it's just an opportunity to ask questions. You don't have to attend the pre-offer meeting, and you're able to submit a proposal even if you don't. So we'll see ultimately who chooses to submit, but we are excited to move forward with that. As you'll see, the solicitation is set to close on Wednesday, June the 23rd. And then there will be a meeting of the evaluation committee to review the proposals, and hopefully by the end of the month, on the 29th, we will be ready to issue an award. So that's where we are. We're moving forward, and excited about that.
Was there good attendance? I mean, could you give us a sense of how many vendors attended?
We had two different firms that attended and asked some questions, and that's good. Obviously, this is a specialized skill set. So even as purchasing was trying to work through, and because it's so important to get access out there, we wanted as many people to know about the opportunity as possible. But we need someone who has some experience with sports and exactly what it is that we're trying to do. So we expected the number to be small, and now we'll see who actually proposes.
Have you determined who's on the evaluation committee yet, or is that still to be determined?
It's to be determined. We're still working on that. It needs to be someone, obviously, Margaret has agreed to serve, which means nobody else could on the board if you wanted to, right? And so we are working to identify probably one more person, and hopefully have a technical advisor as well.
I have a question. Was that pre-offer meeting mandatory?
No, it was not mandatory.
So you could possibly have more
That's correct.
firms? Okay.
Yes.
Any other questions of Monica? All right. So the second matter that we addressed was the Sports Authority's participation in a year-long celebration of Title IX, which was enacted 50 years ago this June of 2022. And Scott Ramsey told the committee about the events already scheduled by the Nashville Sports Council, and they're quite impressive. One is the U.S. Figure Skating Championship in January, first week of January. The SEC Women's Basketball Tournament will be held the first week of March. And then there are going to be two marathons and half marathons this year, one in the fall and one in the spring. And about 60% of the runners in the past have been women. So all of these events are key, big-time events that will be featuring women athletes. And then we also, he also told us about the Women's Sports Committee of the National Sports Council. There's a subcommittee comprised of the Division I schools in Nashville, and they are intending to also have some events that commemorate Title IX throughout this year. And then we heard some exciting news from our facility partners of plans that are already in the works for celebrating women athletes and events sponsoring women athletes, and that was particularly wonderful to hear, and we appreciate their participation. And then Council member Nancy Van Rees sent a survey out to the council members, got a good response. It was fun to see, especially some of the women council members and their participation in sports in the early years and their experiences, and that was shared with us. And she is on board to have the council be involved in this year-long celebration, and so were the people who were surveyed. So that was also another exciting thing. And it's really been good to have our advisory committee members, be a part of this and, and help celebrate and give us great ideas. Emma had a great suggestion, and that was that we, as a sports authority ourselves, do something when we meet. It doesn't have to be necessarily honoring a person, but do something that commemorates what's going on too. Take a segment of our meeting and just remember something, or honor someone. And so Emmett, I was wondering if you would be willing to be responsible for doing that, if the board is so inclined to, for you to do so.
Once again, I opened my mouth, inserted the foot, but I think that is a great idea, and I do think that I could come up with a few ideas.
I know you
So I
can.
would love to do that.
And I know that there are a lot of members of this board that would also want to be a part of that and, you know, and give their ideas. So I think we can have some fun with this through the year, being part of the citywide celebration ourselves. So, so thank you, Emmett.
I just wanted to add one thing. If you can't contact me, sometimes I am a little lost. I don't know where my phone is, or et cetera, et cetera. But if you get with Quentin, I think he finds me pretty good. So.
Thank you, Quentin. And then I just wanted to point out that, speaking of the assistance of the advisory committee and our partners, Scott Ramsey suggested that the National Sports Council, that's already going to be pushing and promoting so many of its own events, that they also push and help promote any events the Sports Authority is doing or the facility partners. So that was a great offer, especially given our limited staff. So I wanted to make sure the board knew that. I don't know how much we're going to be putting on our staff, but that part will be, we appreciate the National Sports Council offering to do that. So the committee got together, and there was a lot of discussion, and recommends that the Sports Authority participate in the citywide celebration. So the Women's Professional Sports Ad Hoc Committee presents the resolution that is in your packet for the board's consideration and approval. I've asked Kathy if I should read this, and I don't know if I should, because I kind of want all of you out there to see it. I don't know if you can. It's not that long, so I'm going to go ahead and read it.
I
That's okay.
suggest you read it. I think
Okay.
it's very worthwhile, and it's a great opportunity to include everyone.
Thank you. So whereas Title IX of Public Law 92-318, the sex discrimination law best known for giving girls and women equal access to federally funded school sports programs, celebrates its 50th anniversary on June 23rd, 2022. And whereas the number of girls playing high school sports has multiplied at least tenfold since 1972, women today account for nearly half of all college athletes, and there are more opportunities for young women to have a professional sports career. And whereas the National Sports Council, along with the city's colleges and universities, are celebrating this upcoming 50th anniversary with a focus on featuring female athletes at their events. And whereas the Sports Authority's facility partners are also celebrating this anniversary and sponsoring events featuring female athletes. And whereas since November 2019, the Sports Authority, with the assistance of its Women's Professional Sports Ad Hoc Committee and Advisory Committee on Women in Sports, has sought to attract and secure a women's professional sports team, maximize the use of existing facilities, and promote professional and amateur women's sports in Nashville. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Sports Authority hereby declare its intention to participate in the year-long citywide celebration to commemorate Title IX and its impact on our city. And further resolved that the Sports Authority hereby encourages our community and city leaders to join the year-long citywide celebration to commemorate Title IX and its impact on our city. Further resolved that the chair be and hereby is acknowledged to perform or cause to be performed in the name of and on behalf of the Sports Authority, to execute and deliver and cause to be executed and delivered by or on behalf of the Sports Authority, such proclamations or other communications under the seal of the Sports Authority or otherwise, as she deems necessary or advisable in order to carry into effect the intent of the foregoing resolutions. So, Madam Chair, the committee requests board approval of this resolution.
Move approval. Second. Thank you. The motion has been made, and there's a second. Any discussion? If not, all of those in favor of moving forward with this motion, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposers, nay. Motion approved. And I must say that I personally am extremely excited about this Sports Ad Hoc Committee and this 50th year Title IX celebration. I've been around the Sports Authority for a while, but I am actually the product of Title IX, so it means a lot to me. So I'm super excited, and I'm happy that this board is going to, and our community is going to take part in this. So thank you, Margaret, for that. Certainly appreciate it. Next, we will have the presentation of reports on our debt obligations for federally taxable public facility revenue bonds, Series 2021A, which is the East Bank Stadium project, Series 2021B, which is the Arena project, and Series 2021C, which is the ballpark project. Monica, would you like to take the lead on this?
Oh, yes, I'm happy to start. And this is going to be familiar to all of you because we just did this in January after closing on the revenue bonds for the MLS soccer stadium. The state requires that a report be prepared for all debt obligations issued or entered into by any public entity, and then filed with the governing body, that's you, with a copy sent to the Division of Local Government Finance of the State Comptroller. The reports are prepared by our bond counsel, and the purpose is to provide clear and concise information to you all, the group that has authorized and is responsible for the debt. There is no action for the board to take. The reports address the ratings, the interest cost, the purpose, security, the type of sale, and the cost of issuance. So you have 3 copies before you that the chair just referenced. And our Metro Treasurer, Michelle Bosch, is going to come and kind of walk us through that. I wanted you all to know Michelle. She's been fantastic. We're so excited to have her with Metro, and you can take it from here.
Thank you. Hi.
Good morning. Welcome.
It's very nice to meet you all in person. I've seen you all virtually, but it feels like the first time, like you said. So I want to, first of all, congratulate you. Recent refunding deals saved the Sports Authority $11 million on a present value basis. And so the first item that you're looking at is the 21A, which is, as mentioned, the stadium. With that one, we were able to save $2.7 million on that debt, and that's debt going through to 2034. And as you can see, we got really great rates. That entire book was set at 1.9%. Similarly, with the 21B regarding the arena, that one was same time frame, 2034 debt, and slightly higher, 2.1%, but still very great rates on debt. And lastly, the largest of the bunch was the 2021C, which was ballpark, had the biggest bulk of funds to refund, and we were able to save $7.7 million on that deal. And in total, the Sports Authority now has $353 million outstanding, which includes the MLS. And just wanted to share information with you regarding to what we're doing at Metro to help lower our costs and increase our availability of funds. Do you guys have any questions?
I'll just say congratulations, Metro, and to this authority for doing such a wonderful job. $11 million is a pretty huge savings. And Ms. Bosch, we certainly appreciate your contributions in working us through this process.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here. Okay, the MLS Stadium update, and so we're going to ask Mary Cavara and Kellen DeCourcy if they will give us an update. And they'll be followed by Carol Greenlee with Mortensen Messer, who will give the monthly BBE participation report for the stadium, and our project manager, Jim P., who will give a brief infrastructure update.
Great.
Good morning, Mary.
So good morning and thank you very much. As Kathy indicated, we'll give a brief stadium update. We also hope that everybody can join us next week when Wednesday, June 23rd, the Nashville SC returns to Nissan Stadium for our next home match. We are playing away in New York against the Red Bulls this week, and we remain undefeated. And,
Okay.
with that, go to the next slide, please. So the stadium project continues to make solid progress, as many of you saw last month when you were out there. This picture here is a northeast aerial view of the stadium, and you can see the continued progress of the site. Next slide, please. And this slide has another aerial view looking from the south end towards downtown. And on the south end, the metal decking is now complete over the back of the house, kind of the south area there. You can also see the south end canopy is complete, and they're beginning to put the metal decking on top of that as well. Work has started on the upper north bowl, and in addition, the precast work is complete on the west side. Next slide, please. The following slide, or this slide, illustrates other progress, including the metal decking on the canopy. You can see this a little bit closer. The west side premium areas, the steel and the concourse work. Looking ahead, the upper bowl and canopy work will continue. The canopy is expected to be complete by late summer, and then the goal is to kind of clear the whole interior bowl by November for installation of the natural grass pitch. Next slide, please. So the project remains on schedule and on budget. And on the left here, this is information that we previously shared with you, that of the total estimated cost of $335 million, approximately 40% Walsh is directly funding today, the remaining portion is being covered by the revenue bonds, which will also be repaid by Walsh. We've paid roughly about a third of the estimated cost to date, of which $42 million has been paid directly by Walsh, and then we're continuing to fund with revenue bonds. And at our last board meeting, I believe a couple of the directors had asked if we could provide an ongoing summary of our change orders. And so the estimated cost for the stadium is $335 million. The development committee has approved change orders of approximately $9 million. And that $9 million, when you come up with a budget, there's some contingency or undesignated portion. We've been able to use that, so it's labeled as a budget transfer. So our total cost remains unchanged. At this point, I'm not aware of any significant change orders that are on the immediate horizon, but as we continue with the process, it's very possible that there could be, and we'll continue to keep the board updated on that. And please let me know if you have any questions before I turn it over to Carol Green.
We made a lot of progress in just the months since we were out there.
It has. Thank you very much, and it will continue to do so.
Thank you, Mary.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I am Carol Green in person. I appreciate you, your invitation to speak before you just today, Madam Chair and the board. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you.
Just to give you a brief overview, we are required by the city to have 30% SNWP participation. Currently, what you see on the screen is our experience today. We have reporting to date 36% awarded, and that's real time. SNWP participation represents a little over $72 million in awards to our SNWPEs, with 55 firms that are certified SNWPEs on the project. And the breakdown, as you see, Davidson County represents 23 of those firms, and other firms are represented over in Tennessee, 32, which gives us a total of 55% Tennessee firms on the project. We are also have self-imposed a 22% workforce percentage on women and people of color. And that 22% thus far, as our workforce is representing the number of hours on the project, and right now we're at 37% workforce hours with women and people of color. Last April, we presented one of our SMWs, a male that was pinnacle. Today, I'd like to just introduce you to Belinda Yoder. Belinda could not be here today in person, but she did send a quote, and I'd like to read it. Madam Chairman?
Please.
She is a prime contractor on the project. She is going to be installing the floors, and her quote here represents how she feels about being a participant as a prime on the project. And it states here, and I quote, "As a local Nashville and local business, to be a part of the new MLS project, literally being the floor," she is the floor contractor, "being the floor that people from all over the world will walk on makes this project very unique. This stadium symbols the growth on another level for our great city, and I'm thankful to Morris Investment for continuing to use local businesses for this project. Some of the different flooring takes certified mechanics, of which we have trained our guys for. So I will allow us, this project will allow us to expand projects we have bid on going forward. It will also help our resume going forward." In the quote, that's Belinda Yoder. And I'm here today to tell you that we have more and more comments and persons working on projects, women, minorities, as crimes, making that same statement that you are making a difference in your business and in your workers. And I stand here on their behalf, so thank you. Any questions?
There are no questions. I'd just like to make a comment to Ms. Gringley. You know, DBE has been a very, very important piece for this body. And so I just want to commend you on going the extra mile. I know at some of our last virtual meetings, you brought on other contractors who are diverse or minorities. And it's important that we get a good feel. The numbers look good, but we really appreciate the extra step that you've taken to try to allow us to know at the levels of participation of DBE. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good to see everyone again. The infrastructure project overall is going very, very well. We recently just received the last subcontractor bid, and we'll be going to the GMP with Val here in the next few weeks. The project is within budget, including adequate contingencies for the unforeseens that may come along.
Jim, will you introduce yourself for the record?
Oh, yes, Jim Pashowski with CPI.
Some of us know you, but not all of us.
Oh, that's
It's
okay.
good to see you.
Okay, that's no problem. So we're on budget with adequate contingencies in place right now that will cover any unforeseen conditions that we might encounter. Schedule-wise, the project is on schedule. Some of the components are actually a little ahead of schedule. Some of the sanitary lines that are going in. So that's going very well. Coordination with Messer Mortensen and Icon, the group of the stadium, is going extremely well. So we'll keep our fingers crossed everything keeps going in place and on time. As far as our SMWDBE participation, it's well ahead of target right now. Through the last bid package, we were contracted with approximately $6.5 million of the project SMWDBEs, which equates to around just under 25% overall. Construction-wise is right at 25%, which is 10% higher than the business assistance office targets that were established for the project. So we're doing very well. and I'd be happy to entertain any questions.
Please.
Can you remind me the estimated completion date? You said you're ahead of schedule in certain areas.
It's coinciding with completion of the stadium for late spring of '22.
Okay, thank you.
Has the reemergence of racing caused any kind of delays with the construction?
Not so far.
Thank you.
Hopefully it won't.
I hope not.
Any other questions? Infrastructure? If not, we're excited. Seems like everything's moving in the right
I
direction.
don't have any pictures because it's not that pretty right now. It's just some grading and pipe, so.
Well, thank you. We enjoyed the tour. It was great to see where things were. Okay, so now we have the Predators and Powers Management Team who will present the Bridgestone Arena report. So we're happy to be here and happy to hear this report.
Good morning.
Good morning.
It's great to see everybody. It's great to put names and faces. Sorry for letting you to leave. I met yesterday. It's good. All right, it's great to meet you. Great to see all of you again today. I was joking earlier with, Kyle Clayton, Vice President of
Please,
Operations
thank you.
for the Preds.
Thanks,
I was joking with Quentin and Monica yesterday. We've not been in this building together since September of 2019. It's just crazy to think that it's that far ago. I think we met in Bellevue in December of 19, but again, in this building in September. So it's just, again, great to be back. You can tell our staff is excited. We love to bring some energy. So today, before you, we're going to keep it pretty simple. We've talked a lot on these Zooms, and a lot of Zooms went real long. We're going to try to keep it simple today. So I'll kick us off, do some event updates. Bill Wickett, our Chief Marketing Officer, he'll do a team update. And then, of course, Sean Henry will give us a nice little conclusion and wrap up. So with that, I really want to take a quick moment and just thank Monica, her team, the city, the mayor's office, health department. Really just getting fans back in the building safely was our goal for this whole past 6 months or so. And it was just fantastic. We had the hockey team come back, play this season. And we started the season with just friends and family, a couple hundred people in the building. We were in the playoffs against Carolina. We got up to 14,000 folks in the building, which was just awesome. We had a great plan for round 2. We were going to be at full capacity, but we fell a little short of that. But again, just a great, cooperation with the city and everybody involved to get fans back in the building in a safe manner. It was a lot of energy. It was a lot of fun. Usually right now, Kels will get up here and talk about all the events that are going on. And he's actually out of town right now. He's in Los Angeles for the annual Polestar conference. So that's the live entertainment venue kind of mecca, right? Polestar's what everybody judges you on. And if you rewind, usually we talk about nominated for Arena of the Year. So we've been nominated for Arena of the Year in 97, 98, 2000, and then from 2007 to 2019. So that was 12 straight years there. That was just a constant. And you might remember we won Arena of the Year in 2014 and 2017, which is great. So during 2020, live events, they all got shuttered. And so Polestar decided to take the 2020 award show and make it into Arena, or Decade Awards, if you will. So we were nominated for Arena of the Decade, which is fantastic, right? It was great. The other venues in there included from cities from New York, LA, Toronto, Chicago. So again, we're punching up with the big boys, which is great. The award show was last night. We didn't win. That Forum in LA won, which again, makes sense. They're in LA. But again, it was great to be nominated, great to be part of that group. Obviously, Kels does a great job of keeping this building booked. So just to start going through some of those events, obviously we hosted the SEC men's tournament back in March. That was kind of the reopening of this building, which was fantastic. Again, working with Metro Health and everybody, we were able to get about 3,000 to 4,000 folks in the building per event for that tournament, which was great. Then we rolled into a comedy show at that time with Mike Epps. We were allowed to have 4,000 people in the building. So Mike Epps was like, well, I'll just do 2 shows. So we had 8,000 people in the building that night, but 4 at a time, which was, again, just a great way to be creative, figure out a way to host events again. Bill will talk about the hockey season here in a second, but once we were eliminated from the playoffs, we're all trying to figure out what we're going to do. We're a little sad. What's the next event we got coming? We got the rodeo coming in a week or 2. Kels gets called that morning, and it was from CMT folks. And they're like, hey, we have the award show in a week. And Kels like, yeah, that's great, whatever. And they're like, hey, can we host it in the building? Kels is like, we still have ice down. We haven't melted the ice yet. We have a rodeo that's going to load in 2 days after you would be done with the show. And he's like, sure, we'll do it. So I assume he called Sean first. Sean's like, yeah, absolutely. We get on the horn with us, we get the ice melted, and they actually loaded in 24 hours after that phone call happened. So again, it's really just a credit to our staff and our organization, what we're able to do. And that event was great, went off without a hitch. CMT was so excited they were able to do it, and really just awesome. Just our building being able to say yes and do those kind of cool things like that. So sure enough, the show loads out. 24 hours later, Rodeo Dirt comes in. We had the rodeo last weekend, which again, fantastic event. This coming weekend, we have I'm going to read this, Happy Hiller USA Cornhole Championship. You heard me right. Happy Hiller USA Cornhole Championship. So what's interesting about that one, yes, it's a cornhole tournament, which is great, a professional tour. The cool thing is with CMT and the Happy Hiller USA Cornhole Championship, someone's going to have to fact check this probably later, but that'll make Bridgestone Arena the only arena in North America with 2 nationally broadcasted events in the month of June that's not from the primary sports tent. So again, hosting events, getting us back out there, it's just great to have 2 nationally televised events right off the hop here. So again, Kel's doing a great job. We're filling up that calendar. July 1, really this new fiscal year is going to kick off and it's going to be fantastic. We'll have 2 back-to-back sold-out shows with Alabama to start the year, which is awesome. And then we roll right into Monster Jam, Luke Bryan, James Taylor, Blake Shelton, Harry Styles, Chris Stapleton, USA Figure Skating Championships, again, just to name a few. This year is going to be really fantastic. Just some quick stats. Right now we have 34 events on sale. Pre-pandemic, right before it hit, we had 38 events on sale. So again, we're not skipping a beat. We're getting right back to it. And again, Kels does an amazing job with that. So again, the event calendar's going. We're excited. Bill's going to give a minute to talk about the Preds, but if you have any questions, arena specific, I'd be happy to answer them. And we can do it at the end too as well.
Thank you, Kyle.
So by that statistic, 38 pre-pandemic shows on sale, 34 now. Are we to interpret that you're back to 90% in terms of bookings and events and the calendar, or is there still some work to do, being that there was uncertainty as to when things were going to open?
Yes, there's actually a couple shows that are still working on picking their future date. And there's actually, I think Eric Clapton's going on sale this Friday. So there's more stuff coming, which is great. We can't announce them just yet. But we anticipate this next fiscal year will actually beat.
You can tell us.
I'm not sure you guys can watch this with my mom on YouTube later, but yeah, we're excited about the calendar this year for sure.
Good.
Director Wynn?
Well, I don't know how to pronounce it a lot of times, Sean. You know, the president, however you get it anyway. But I heard on the street that you was trying to figure out a way to get the big race that's coming to go through the arena and come out on the other side. I just want to know if any truth to it.
Kyle said we can't disclose everything, but out of the way, Grand Prix will rip through the convention center, down the tunnel, do a lap around and back out, and then not included in Bond State.
Wow.
That would be great.
All we need is to cooperate.
Okay, they cooperate.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Any other questions for Kyle?
All right, no other questions. We introduced Bill Wickett, I think in the Zoom call, maybe last month or the month before. But he's one of our newest citizens of Smashville. He came to us after about 20 or so years with the Tampa Bay Lightning organization. He's got a couple Stanley Cup rings under his belt. So it's fantastic that he came on as our Executive Vice President and Chief Marketing Officer. So he'll come up and give us a quick recap on the Preds and their season. Let's look ahead.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kyle.
Thank you, Kyle. Hello, everybody.
Good morning.
Hello. As Kyle mentioned, it's been 3 months, and my family and I are really excited to be here in Smashville. We, after arduous and patient search, we were able to secure a home, and we moved in last week. So, got my family here, and we're very much excited. As I start today with our presentation, I'll try to be brief but comprehensive. Today is 6/17, 2 days removed from 6/15, June 15th, and our 615 Day was held on Tuesday at Ford Ice Center in Bellevue. We partnered with 102.5 The Game, our flagship radio station, and we created a fundraiser for Boys and Girls Clubs of Middle Tennessee, which raised some money for them, which was nice, but perhaps just as important, or maybe more important, is that we were able to put 200 kids on the ice on Tuesday from the Boys and Girls Club, and we thought it was just a fantastic event, and we look forward to bigger and better 615 days. in our future. Moving on to the hockey team and being on the ice. When I got here in March, things were not great for the Predators. We were undergoing some injuries, and the team was, I think, 10 or 12 points out of the playoff race. With a shortened season, over 56 games, we were concerned, what the rest of the year might look like. And our young players playing for some older guys that had been injured came in and really sparked the team, and we won 20 of our last 28 regular season games, helping us make the playoffs for the 7th straight season. I believe there's only 2 other NHL teams that have done that. We had a quite spirited run. We lost in the first round, as Kyle mentioned. We lost in the first round of the playoffs to the Carolina Hurricanes, but it was almost unprecedented because 4 of the 6 games in that playoff run went into overtime. So we were very close to moving on to the second round, and then who knows what happens from there. But we believe in a very successful season, and we have great optimism for the future. As Kyle mentioned, we had just a couple hundred friends and family here for our games, and because of our Smashville Safe protocols, all the work and help with our partners, we were able to put 14,107 in the building for our last 2 games. And the goal is Kyle mentioned, we're going to have a full house for the second round. We definitely will have a full house when we start the 21-22 season. I'd like to point out too that our longtime goaltender, Pekka Rinne, who's been our goalie for 18 years, he was just awarded the King Clancy Trophy, which, to quote, is given to the NHL player who best exemplifies leadership qualities on and off the ice and has made a noteworthy humanitarian contribution in his community. I think everybody knows how important Pekka has been to the Nashville community. He started a foundation, the 365 Foundation, with a former teammate, Shea Weber, who was here for a long time. And in winning that award, Pekka was granted $25,000 by the National Hockey League for his charity of choice. We at the Predators matched that contribution, so $50,000 went to the 365 Fund, which raises awareness and helps provide money for cancer research, children's cancer research at Vanderbilt. So incredibly proud of Pekka and all that he's done. Also, I'd like to point out that Roman Josi, our captain, was recognized as one of the top 5 defensemen in the National Hockey League for the 3rd consecutive year. And we're very pleased as well that Juuse Saros, who has become the #1 goaltender, Pekka's now the backup goaltender, still doing a wonderful job for us, but Juuse stepped up and he's proven himself to be one of the best goaltenders in the league. He was probably the primary reason that we won 20 of our last 28. So really excited about what happened on the ice this year. I'd also like to point out that off the ice, we're just culminating the distribution of 184 checks to local nonprofits. We've distributed a team record $735,000 during this past year through our grant program. I think last year, Sean, we did 700,000. But this year we're able to do 735. That's only a drop in the bucket to the total $4 million in give back that we were able to give Middle Tennessee through the pandemic year. I think it's probably, again, more money than we've ever been able to give back to the community. We're really excited and pleased that we were able to do that. As we move forward for 21, 22 and beyond, I mentioned that we should have a full building. We also believe we'll play a regular 82-game schedule. We should start with training camp in September and get going with regular season games in October. So, as Kyle was talking about events, hockey very much is the same. We're going to be back to normal, and we're really excited to start next season. Lots of optimism. I mentioned young players that helped key us along when we had some key injuries this year. They helped spur us along, and they're going to be part of the foundation for the team, not only in 21, 22, but in the years to come. So we're going to continue to be very, very excited about what's going on there. A couple key upcoming dates. One I'd like to point out, something that we're part of, but it's really a community-wide effort. Tennessee State University is working with the Predators, the National Hockey League, and College Hockey Inc. to look into a feasibility study. Well, we start the feasibility study next week. They'll all be here to talk to Tennessee State, some people in our building. We're going to tour our community. Tennessee State is hoping to become the first historically black college or university that play Division I hockey at both the men's and women's levels. Just a fantastic undertaking. We're really appreciative of the leadership there, and we're going to do everything we can to help them achieve that goal. Again, the feasibility study starts next week. We should have those results in October, and we'll know more about the reality of that happening. But we're going to, as I mentioned, we'll do everything we can to support that program. I think that's everything I wanted to point out. We're gonna start. I mentioned training camp in September. Our young prospects will be here in August, which is just 3 weeks after the draft. The NHL draft is July 23rd and 24th. So lots going on with the hockey team. Again, very excited. Personally, I'm pleased to be part of this community and thrilled to be part of the Predators. Happy to take questions if anybody has. Mr. Henry? Big Bob?
Thank you. Thank you, Bill.
We only got one clap for you. That's great. Sean Henry, CEO of Nashville Predators, Rich Arena. Easy watch. I'll start myself. And SSE, as you can tell, we have some work to do with Bill still, because look how he's dressed. It's almost embarrassing, isn't it? Take the guy out of Tampa, but you can't take Tampa out of the guy. He just rattles on in the background, ignore him when he turns his mic off. But you can tell Bill and I worked together, for a long time. Because did you notice the subtle hint that he dropped that we were out of the playoffs the day he arrived, and then we won the next 21 out of 27 games after he arrived? And now we mentioned that second Stanley Cup. Yeah, we're tired of hearing about it too. But it is great to have him here. And to make a hire like that in the middle of a pandemic really just shows how strong our business is. And our business is strong because of our partnership. There's no doubt about it. Over the past 20, 25 years, the team has had a lot of ups and downs, but the one constant has been our partnership with this board. I was mentioning to Bob Lackey, I was so excited that was joining us again. We had a welcome back party for him today. That, time and time again, when we had challenges in front of us, Bob stood with us and the board did. And it has allowed us to do all the things that Bill talked about and Kyle talked about, and we're excited about it. We really, really are. I am a little embarrassed about Kyle's incomplete training. He announced that the LA Forum won Arena of the Decade. He forgot to mention that the owners of Polestar also own the LA Forum. So I'm not saying the fix was in, but the fix was in. 2 other buildings, they're also owned by the owners of Polestar. So we actually won, despite what the award says. We're no Susan Lucci, we are the winners. Everyone got up here and said they're going to be brief, they're going to be brief, they're going to be brief. I was taught a long time ago, don't set goals that you can't attain. So I'm not promising that. But I really just want to answer any questions you have about our business. Over the past 12, 13, 14 months, whatever it's been, we've done a lot of really great things, and none of them had to do with hockey or the business of the building. It had to do with the community. We made a commitment when this started. We didn't know the pause, as we first called it, which now you look back on the pause, and that was one heck of a pause. We all thought it was going to be a day, 2 days, 4 days, 4 weeks. But the night we canceled the SEC tournament was also the night we took a pause on the NHL season. And we made a commitment to each other and to our employees that we were not going to do anything that hurt any one of our employees. We were very unique of sports teams across the continent that we weren't going to lay anyone off. We're not going to hurt anyone financially, but we were all going to rededicate ourselves to each other and the community. So you might be an accountant pre-pandemic, but now you're a painter. You might be a sales guy pre-pandemic, but now you're a community outreach person. And Chris Jungins, our CRO, who couldn't be here today, and keep in mind his job is revenue. CRO, Chief Revenue Officer. He said a great statement that we've used ever since, that we were going to stress relationships over revenue. And if we do that, the right thing will happen. You do the right thing, you'll never be wrong. And we lived that. We didn't know we'd have to live it for 15 months. To be candid, did not know when we made the commitment to our employees how long it would be, but a strange thing happened. We ended up coming out of the pandemic, and while we're still coming out of it, stronger than we went into it. And that was the goal. And I think we helped the community through the pandemic in pretty aggressive ways. Our pandemic, I think, started 2 weeks earlier with the morning after the tornadoes. We all jumped in. And what I love about our community is we all, every sports team, every business, every entity came together to figure out how to heal after the tornadoes. And then just 2 weeks later, the world shut down and we all did it again. Too much pain was felt by too many people over the past 15 months. But I like to think that all of us together made it a little bit better, for a few. But again, we would not have been able to do that if we didn't build such a strong business. And we wouldn't have done that without your partnership. So sincerely, just want to say thank you. I hope you're proud of what we've done because you're part of it. You're kind of the pulse behind it. So really, there's nothing but gratitude from us. Just want to say thank you. It's good to see you all in person. It's nice to not hear unmute. Would you mute your phone and hear some stupidity? Blah, 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 blah. It's good to be back. And I hope you enjoyed a little bit of the passion. To quote Terry Crisp, if you're not showing your passion, why are you waking up?
That's what we are. You can be serious without acting serious. You can have fun, you can laugh every day, and celebrate some successes. And that's where we are right now. We are the envy of the sports world because what we created with this partnership in the city. Through the pandemic, we broke ground on 2 new buildings, one in Montgomery County, one in Sumner County. We announced a new business initiative with SS&E. I say it stands for Smashville Sports Entertainment. Legally, it's something else, but it's Smashville Sports Entertainment. Sorry, Michelle. We did that though because we started getting a lot busier outside of our building. I'm not even going to look at it. We started getting a lot busier outside of our building because people think what we do pretty well, and they keep coming to us and coming to us and coming to us. And we worked on the Pilgrimage Festival and CMA taking over at the stadium and the Simmons Bank Open, and we launched, Jingle Beat initiative around Christmas just to put people back to work from the concert industry. And we realized it's time to formalize the company a little bit differently and get stronger and bigger and better outside of our walls, which makes inside of these walls just a little bit stronger and better. Since then, we announced a partnership with Montgomery County to actually run that building. We're, Steel of Thunder, about to announce a partnership with Austin P. Bill talked about a partnership with TSU that really just started with helping them raise $1 million for scholarships for kids that were dropping out of school over $200, $300, $400. That turned into them really getting behind our internship program, which is ideally changing the face of our organization, what we look like, who we are. So it's been tremendous. But when Dr. Allen called to say, I want to start a hockey program, I said, are you serious? He said, I'm serious, Dr. Glover's serious, let's do it. And we said, all right, let's do it. I mean, think about how important that's going to be. If we launch the first Division I men and women's hockey program at an HBCU, this might be the most transformative thing our league, our sport has seen ever. And we get to be part of it right here in Nashville, and we're there because of you guys. So I really just want to say thank you and answer any questions you have. Hope you fire them because I'm not done talking. I'm going to lunch with someone I don't want to be with, so I'll talk right till 1 o'clock.
All right.
Got anything?
Okay.
I just want to say thank you for mentioning Bob Lackey, because I think really that's part of what we as a board wanted, was not to lose the momentum that we had, not to lose that expertise. And I'm glad you had this party for him today, and I'm glad we got to walk through the party. You deserve it, Bob. I'm so glad you're going to be with us another year. But you have a program called, is it Grinders? Is that right? Guider. See,
I like Grinder too. Grinder. That's so much better. That's a hockey
I don't know if I'm going to ask this because I don't know if I have the name right, but some of the folks that are involved in that have spoke so enthusiastically about it. So if you could just address that.
Yeah, so right when we started working with TSU, I guess back in January of 2020, when things were just good, when life was good, everyone was rolling forward, momentum was flying. When we started working with Dr. Glover on what could we do, we challenged her to say, it's not just about money. You need to help us change who and what we are as an organization. We got to change literally what we look like and look more like the community. That's when we realized, all right, let's get a little bit more formalized and truly focus on who and what we are. We support Hockey's for Everyone. We bring communities together. We're one of the first winners of an award from the LGBTQ community. I mean, we just enjoy all those things. We like using our sport and the attention we garner to megaphone doing what's right. And we realized we should get a little bit more formalized because we want to change who's playing our game, at the youngest levels, at the oldest levels, and of course at the NHL level. We want to change who's in our offices, who's running our company. We want to be the place other people look at and say, my gosh, that's what we could all look like. And to do that, you got to be very deliberate and diligent about it. You also have to be very honest with yourself and look at what you haven't been doing or how to change it. And we turned to our employees and said, who wants to be a part of something? We don't know what it's going to be. We don't know what it's going to look like. And I really thought we'd have 2 or 3 people do it out of passion and 2 or 3 people do it out of obligation, kissing up to Michelle. And I was blown away. Our very first meeting, we had 28, 30 employees. Our second meeting, we had about 70 employees out of 300. And that's incredible. And we went around the room and we shared stories, about life. We had the NHL moderate it, through their diversity program. And it was called Uncomfortable Conversations. And it was actually the best thing we have ever done. And we decided to reach out to the community, and we put a board together with 25 people, part of the board, representing, different pockets in our community, in our league, internationally, the media. And basically it's Guider stands for something that I will mess up. But the acronym is absolutely incredible, but basically it stands for this sport, this company really is for everybody. We need to look like the community. We need to have people feel welcome when they walk in. It's one thing to break down barriers. It's another to not make someone feel special or strange when they're sitting with us. And that's what it's about. And by doing it, again, you do the right thing will happen. We will end up growing because of it. There's no doubt about it. And our connection with TSU has already allowed us to change in different ways and take on something no one else has ever done before. So it's something when you're deliberate and diligent about something and you ignite passions with your employees, what it creates. And we haven't done anything yet, except in the first very step of it, our intern program looks very, very different. And out of our first intern class, since working with TSU, we always hire people from our intern class. 60% of our employees started as interns here, and you already see a difference being made. And in the end, we're just better off for it. There's no doubt about it. So it's somewhat selfish, but it's the right thing to do as well. And we like to do things more than talk about them. We like talking a lot too, but we like to build a good foundation of action and successes that then we get to put those skins on the wall and then engage with other people. So it's been humbling to be a part of it. It's difficult sometimes to admit what you haven't been doing right, but by doing that, taking that step, you kind of grow some cohesiveness within your organization. And again, there are a lot of reasons we're a better organization today than we were 15 months ago. A lot of it was all the different work we're all doing in the community, where I think Guider sits in the center of that. So thank you for asking that.
That's great. Any other questions or comments for Sean before we give him his round of applause?
Yeah, because you're going to beat Wickett. But I'm also glad you brought up Bob Lackey, because I did introduce Bob to Bill Wickett, and I said something that will embarrass him, but it's true, and you guys know it more than anyone. There's no individual outside of our organization, without exception, that has done more for our organization than Bob Lackey. And period. And you guys know that. So I won't match Bob's applause, but I'll beat yours, Bill. There's no doubt about it. His family lives in Williamson County, so they can't be streaming us, unfortunately. So, well, if you have no questions for me, please don't be afraid to reach out. We can talk again. We can have lunches again. It'll be really nice to get to know the newer board members that I've only heard on a computer and haven't had a chance to meet yet. So again, thank you for what you've done. I know you think I'm playing to you. We don't have to. Our new lease says we don't have to. But without your support, without your partnership, without your challenges over the years, we would not have been able to do what we've done this past year. It's really remarkable. So thank you for that. So,
thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Great. So we want to thank the Predators and Powers Management for that report. And Bill, we welcome you and we look forward to working with you. And we know you're new, but next time we want you to have a little more good information to share with us. So, no, that was pretty heavy lifting. So thank you for that report this morning. And you have to take the tie off. Yes. Okay. Great. With that, this concludes our agenda. I'd like to thank the members of the board, the Sports Authority staff, Metro Legal and Finance, our facility and team representatives and project managers for your input today. We also especially want to thank the Predators and Powers for hosting this meeting. It's been a great time this morning. Thank you for the celebration. And if our next meeting is scheduled for Thursday, July 15th at Nissan Stadium, if there's no other business, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
Meeting adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.
This has been a service of the Metro Nashville Network. If you would like to see this presentation again, or for more information about this and other programs, visit nashville.gov. This has been a service of the Metro Nashville Network. If you would like to see this presentation again, or for more information about this and other programs, visit nashville.gov.